Ngikubingelele lapho ekhaya Mbukeli, and welcome to your #1 youth current affairs show. Mbukeli, this is Expressions right here on SABC 1. Mina igama lami ngu-Azaria wakwaKhoza, and today namhlanje Mbukeli sikhuluma ngesihloko esibaluleke kakhulu. We are talking about the ongoing issue of school uniform monopolies lapha kwelengabadi Mbukeli, and the exorbitant prices of school uniforms and these suppliers amid inkinga eziningi ezibhekene nabazali lapha kwelengabadi Mbukeli. Sibala, these problems are ranging from unemployment, many have taken salary cuts, our businesses are struggling Mbukeli since COVID-19. Nomnotho wethu is also shaky lapha eNingizimu Afrika Kholosa.
Injalo kanye Azaria ngumba lowo Mbukeli sizawuxovula namhlanje. Well, ndimla ke uKholosa Kalubisi, the brightest star in the galaxy. Kanti ke Mbukeli, this is a very important topic, especially now that schools are opening. And sinkqubo ke expression siqondile into yokubana let's go to the ground and find out from learners into yobana bacinga ntoni ngalento siqoqayo namhlanje, and this is what they had to say.
Should schools be allowed to have exclusive uniform supply agreements? Ukanti ke lo ngumbuzo wethu wanamhlanje si-Expressions. Dumelang sanibonani abusheni South Africa. Igama lami ndinguViyokazi Kafile, umajelo omhle. And njengenhlala yenza, Expressions is out on the streets today to hear from the learners and the parents. Ukuthi, how does this issue affect them?
I think it's not good because some parents can't afford school uniforms at school. So if they have the opportunity to buy it outside of school at a lesser price, it is better so that everyone at school can look the same.
I think they should lower the prices of uniforms so that everyone, it's like education. Education should be free, so everyone should be able to afford uniform.
As a grade 11 student, I believe that schools should try to have more than one supplier, because more often than not, these school supplies are very expensive and many parents cannot afford them. So I think that if the schools could find cheaper suppliers, then the parents would be able to buy the uniform for the students, and it would create more of a sense of unity.
Yebo Mbukeli, leso isona esihloko esikhuluma ngaso namhlanje lapha ku-Expressions. Mbukeli, abantwana baqalile ukuya esikolweni, and there are certain schools that are obligating abazali to go out there and buy a uniform ey'tolweni ezithize. That's the topic that we are talking about namhlanje. Just tell us ukuthi wena umbono wakho uthini, siyathanda ukuza uvo lwakho lapha ohlelweni. Joining me for this important conversation right now, I am joined by Siyabulela Makunga, who is the spokesperson of the Competition Commission, and he is joining us online right now. And in studio, I'm joined by Ubabo Matakanya from the National Association of School Governing Bodies. Gentlemen, welcome to Expressions. Siyabulela, I just want to start with you, as a point of departure. I want us to speak a bit about some of the violations that are committed by iy'kole by simply directing abazali ukuthi fanele i-uniform yabo bayithenge kuphi. Is there any violation? Are there any laws in place to prevent this from happening?
Thank you very much for having us. Good afternoon to you and Utatu Mataganya, who has been a friend of not only the Commission but the Department of Basic Education in making sure that we promote a more competitive, accessible and affordable school uniform market. Yes, indeed, coming to your question, there has been complaints that we have been receiving from as far back as 2010, and in the main, the complaints were about one, that schools are forced to buy uniform from one supplier, and these supply agreements have been, in our view, what we refer to as evergreen. They've been between 10 to even 50 years, but also parents have complained about the price because of the same issue of only having to buy from one supplier. So indeed, the Commission, having received these complaints, has been hard at work in trying to first understand the nature of the market that we're dealing with. And we've brought on board the Department of Basic Education. And in 2015, they actually issued some guidelines. And these guidelines were in the main encouraging that schools should look at ways of how they can create a more competitive environment by appointing more than one supplier, and if it is practically impossible, at least there must be a competitive bidding process through which other players, like the small players in the school uniform industry, can compete. And this, in our view, would go a long way in reducing the prices of school uniform.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Siabulela. Mr. Matakanya, I just want to come to you as well. What is your perception as the school governing body? You work a lot in Abazali on the ground. Bayakhuluma, complain, they're complaining about this problem. Ingabe linking itikameza Abazali kangaganani?
Azaria, Makunga, South Africans, Ngomusha. Ngiyabonga kakhulu Azaria to invite me la ukuthi ngizokhuluma nabantu bakithi base South Africa ngezinto zesikolo. Look, i-governing body ikhethwa abazali, and the term of office ye school governing body is 3 years. Now, i-governing body inama powers kuti mayifika the first year yayo i-review all the policies, all the contracts. So ayisekho this thing yakuthi isikolo sizoba ne green contract. Ayikho iphelile.
Okay,
and iphela because abazali nje kosokushilo abanamali.
Yeah.
Guti abazali abathenge la bakhona khona. Bangaya isnappers, if umuntu unemali, then can go to where she or he can buy.
Yeah.
And second, lastly, each uniform must be generic.
Yes. Yeah.
Very generic.
Which was going to be my next point, Mr. Matakanya. Do you think that keeping our uniform as generic as possible will help to facilitate, first of all, the financial problems, and also this thing of having us this monopoly school uniform? Do you think going the generic way is the solution?
That's the solution.
Yeah.
That's the solution.
Yeah.
The solution is the generic way.
Yeah. Mr. Siabulela, you know, when a certain school prescribe a certain outlet as its main supplier, we eliminate competition, and therefore we eliminate consumer option. Abazali bayatshelwa ukuthi school uniform fanele bayosithenga endaweni ethizeni, and that doesn't, you know, give other people an option to bid or to sell school uniforms. Do you think that going the tender route for many small businesses to bid to sell uniform is the way to go?
Indeed, you are perfectly correct. Where there is monopoly and there is no competition, there is definitely going to be no options for parents to shop around. And I think the guidelines sought to achieve exactly that. To say, let's create a competitive environment where we have more than one supplier for parents to be able to shop around, but also the issue of making school uniform as generic as possible so that it is generally accessible from your day-to-day retailers that are not prescribed by schools. And we said where schools want to maintain their corporate identity, these must be limited to at least items like school blazers, school caps, things like grey pants, your tunic, your
white shirts,
school pants should be left to be generic so as to promote accessibility and affordability of these items.
Yeah. So, Mr. Matakanya, we know very well that there are different social classes in South Africa. There are people that earn money, and then there are those people that are battling with unemployment. Mhlambe lenkinga yama uniform and being told where to buy school uniform, it affects which class a lot?
The poorest of the poor. the working class, township, rural, deep rural. So those are the parents who suffer most because those are the parents who are babysitted by the government. Government is giving them money, government is educating their children, then you come with exorbitant price. Where does the parents get money? And as I have already categorized those type of parents in South Africa, popularly black people and majority of this country, majority in this country are those that I have already categorized.
Yeah.
The township, the deep rural,
The lower class.
the poorest of the poor, the working class. Those are the people, and the government of this country is intending to educate those masses.
Yeah.
Now, you come and say, no, go and buy this particular, whereas the price is so exorbitant.
High. Yeah. Hayi-ke mbukeli lo iwona umbuzo esibuzayo namhlanje lapho ohlelweni ku-Expressions. Njengomzali, ingabe ucabanga ukuthi isikole sinelungelo naso ukuthi sikutshele ukuthi isikole noma umfaniswane wesikole somntana wakho fanele usithenge kuphi na? Okwamanje ake sithi qo esitolo. This is Expressions right here on SABC 1.
Welcome back, Mbugeli. You are still watching your #1 youth show, Expressions, right here on SABC 1. We're still continuing with this important discussion. Earlier, Mbugeli sibuzile into bangaba, should schools be allowed to have exclusive uniform supplier agreements? Now, let's hear what you had to say. Masijonge pha kumakhasi onxibelelwano. We have Sibusisiwe Hlatshwayo saying, Mina, I completely understand that schools want uniformity, and I'm all for the dress code, but we need some flexibility and better options as parents. Izinto zesikolo ziyabiza. #Expressions. Uyatsho ke uSibusisiwe. Let's take a look at another comment coming from one of our viewers. Bangaba yena uthini ngalento siyixoxayo. Uyathetha uLindsay Rogers uthi the only option to buy certain items from one place is just unfair, especially when families are already struggling with a rising cost. Would love to see some alternatives or even second-hand options promoted. Those are the views, Gembugeli, coming from you on social media. To gain more insight into the issue of school uniform monopolies in South Africa, we have Tumelo Libereko, who is also a parent who is joining us here in studio. Thank you so much for joining us, Tumelo, and welcome to Expressions.
Thank you for having me.
And just reflecting on the comments from parents, I mean, you are a parent for yourself, and I could see you nodding your head when I was reading the comments. I mean, what do you have to say?
I so wish that the schools can just understand that not all parents can afford. If they can just have that in whatsoever that agreement they have at the end of the day, because now the schools are expecting us to buy uniform from them or whatsoever shops, certain shops that are placed by them, because we get letters from them at the beginning of the school term. We get the letters with the address or whatsoever, or either we come to buy at the school, and then after that we expect it. But the prices are just off limit. Some of us cannot afford. So it's beginning to be a strain to our kids to go to school just in grey and white.
Yeah, I mean, one of the parents is saying that we should maybe as parents seek for other alternatives, and you absolutely agree with that. So with your experience, can you just detail and give us a brief background, you know, on what you had to face as a parent and how that actually affected you and your family?
That letter that came from the school, it really affected me, because the letter was stating that we need to buy uniform only from schools. And the very same uniforms that they want us to buy from the schools, they have them in different shops with reasonable prices. But now, then we get to school, we find the prices is either double or even, you know, more. And then when you try to negotiate with the school that, okay, can I just at least buy, because it's still similar, it's still the same uniform, it's the same color, same name tag, badge, I mean name badge and stuff. Why can't I just go and be like, no, it's the school policy, this is what you have to do. So that is the unfair part of it, because they don't understand that it's really affecting us financially. as for my family, it's affecting us financially.
Yeah, and I mean, just earlier on, we had the commission speaking about the policies and the frustrations and concerns that they get from parents. Do you think they are doing enough to sort of engage, you know, with you as parents when it comes to these policies? And what do you think really needs to be done to keep this so that that understanding?
I think, you know, going back to the schools, because they do have SGPs, I heard earlier we were talking about SGPs and stuff, I think that they need to stretch more. They need to think of parents. They need to bring it on board just before even those letters are being issued out to parents. They need to bring it on board that we need to give parents alternatives to get uniform. You know, they just need to, I just feel that they need to add more. They too relaxed. They're like, no, the school will take care of it, or it just have to go according to the school. But it's affecting us at the end of the day. And not only us, our kids, because there's no kid who would like to go to class not matching with other kids.
And this is a reality of many parents. And we really hope that, I mean, on the side, Azaria will really bring solutions to this matter so that nabazali abaninzi basizeke. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story. Mugeli, we continue with the discussion. Make sure that you interact with us on our social media platforms. What do you have to say about this topic? For now, you're watching Expressions.
Siphinde sikwamukele mbukeli usabukele Expressions khona la kunqa phambili SABC 1 Mzansi for sure. Uma ngabe usanungena hlala phansi nethezeka. Namuhla mbukeli sibuza umbuzo othi ingabe njengomzali ingabe izikole zethu la kufunda khona ingane zethu zinelungelo na to dictate where we should buy uniform. And still with me in this conversation is Siabulela Makunga, who's a spokesperson of the Competition Commission, and I'm also joined by Mr. Matakanye from the National Association School Governing Bodies. Mr. Siabulela, I just want to come back to you. Sizwile abazali bayakhuluma ukuthi we need to explore different alternatives. Kukhona ishirt lesikole elimhlophe that costs 60 rand, but then abazali, they are forced to go out there and buy shirt lesikole elimhlophe that costs 120 or double the price. As the commission, you guys have been probing this matter since around 2015. What are the solutions?
One, the matter of us investigating and prosecuting some cases, we think that we have done our bit as the commission. There are schools and companies that we have prosecuted, and we have gotten into settlement agreements just to make sure that we continue to promote a more competitive environment. But just a legal reminder to our listeners, there are three important stakeholders that are affected by this. It's the learner who wants to be educated, and for that learner to be educated, that learner must have school fees, must have school uniform and learning material. And the commission has given guidelines on what needs to be done in terms of ensuring that uniform is affordable and accessible. The principals of schools are aware of these guidelines. On a survey, general survey that was conducted, we are satisfied by the level of awareness across the board, but also there are district departments of education, provincial departments that were visited on the length and breadth of the Republic of South Africa, and understanding that we have more than 22,000 schools in the whole of South Africa. And having been made aware of this, we have been working with the Department of Education, and we have now escalated the matter to offices of the MECs for education as well as premiers. So going forward, we will be working very closely with offices of the premiers as well as the MECs in provinces, just to make sure that this message of ensuring that school comply with the guidelines. And also we are encouraging parents to play a more active role in holding schools accountable for any possible contraventions that obviously they would have detected as parents.
Yeah. Mr. Matakanye, you know, there have been concerns from parents when it comes to backhand profits. Uguti, how do these suppliers get elected? And I just want to know, Uguti, what needs to be done in order to strike a balance? Uguti, wonke umntwana abe ne uniform, wonke umntwana, because uniform does bring a sense of belonging to umntwana esikolweni. And how do we strike the balance between bringing that sense of belonging and affordability ebazalini as well?
Then I want to go back to what I said earlier, that school governing body is elected by the parents.
Yeah.
And school governing body must go there and represent the aspirations of the parents. They can't go into the schools where else they have been elected by the school government and do policies that are not informed by the parents that they are representing. And I want to call upon the parents in South Africa that time is now. Let's stand up and make everybody accountable. I mean, that school government, you must make the school government body accountable. You can't elect a person and when he goes into the instate of representing you, then he does things differently. And parents go publicly and start crying and start complaining and all, where else you have got your own representative that you have elected into office. Stand up and stop this nonsense.
Into efanele sikhumbule Kholosa ukuthi imfundo yengane ave ibalulekile.
What a thought-provoking discussion, Bugeli. We certainly need collaborative efforts. Asikshiwedwa 088 is available with Wadibusa. Bye-bye.
Why baka, I don't never